Ghana for arewo sembe ne ekoso ewo Ghana. Sisi amena okasano eye Bolgatanga Senior High School. Sisi an ye close school ni down until further notice. Ye close school ni down indefinitely. Then until mo close school ni down or for just say maintain ho asibia akoso ye say student for no anything me for no pa che say enye small pound me saka video no ntokwa pound moku a whole senior high school for anything me for more Bolgatanga eno mesu twedie mu dendenden ene chese weapons na ade omode bro mo ho agisi amena okasa na ma aye senior high school for no ye Bolgatanga senior high school for no ebi mu eprepra omose baako 6 eprepra chese disi amena okasa na aye Bolgatanga senior high school no disi an ye close school ni down indefinitely orofo moma yanko na yanko jisanse mu nyina nchire mu ewo Ghanatube magisia.
But right now, the Bolgatanga Technical Institute in the Upper East region has closed down indefinitely after violent student protests that injured 6 students and caused extensive damage to the school property in the Devil's Hour on Friday, following a violent student protest in the early hours of Friday. I already said that. But our sources tell us the protest is an act of retaliation for the suspension of 6 students over misconduct. The agitated students burnt the school's library and the senior housemaster's office. Let's connect now with Castro Senyala, who's been covering this story for us. Castro, now talk to us. We know that basis for this violent protest in the school is as a result of the punishment or sanctions for the 6 students, but how did it trigger the events that followed?
Yes, Kemini, good evening. From what we understand from security sources, it appears the suspension didn't go down well with a section of the students who are friends or support those who have been suspended. And so that is what triggered the unrest today. We understand that the students who were still on campus and their friends who have been suspended sort of connived, they planned. And so those on campus planned, took positions, and when they realized that it was safe enough to strike, if I can put it that way, they invited their colleagues who had at the time been lurking around town, hadn't gone home following the suspension, and were lurking around town or in town. And so when they invited them, they quickly mobilized and came to the school campus, and that was when the whole show started. According to security sources on the ground, the students went haywire and began to attack anything they could, lay their hands on. They first of all started by setting the senior housemaster's office ablaze, and then went further to the school library, where they also torched it in equal measure. They then continued on to the rest of the parts of the campus where they could, destroy anything they could see. They destroyed polytanks, they destroyed vehicles, the school bus, a pickup, they destroyed chairs and tables, and in fact destroyed everything. Kemini, I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but the library is what has made everything look so bad. And as I speak now, a lot of residents within the Upper East region aren't happy at all, not because of anything at all, but the attack that was perpetrated against the library is what has touched a lot of people's hearts in the Upper East region, and the conversation has been going on since morning when news broke of the attack or the protests at the Bolgatanga Technical Institute.
But under control after the involvement of the police, correct?
Yes, so the situation, we understand from security sources that even as of this morning, the students wanted to go for a second round of the protests, but I understand that the Upper East Regional Police Commander, DCOP Ferguson, with his team, actually picked information. And so since, that dawn when this incident happened, they deployed a lot of men on the ground, and they made sure that they took position and were able to defuse the situation in the morning when the students wanted to go for a second round. I understand that the police even started with engagements with the students and talked them out of all the plans that they had put or they had wanted to carry out, and eventually were able to bring the situation under control. And as we speak now, a lot more policemen have been situated, not just at one point, but across the campus, to ensure that, no one comes back to the campus to cause trouble.
Let's zoom out of, Bolgatanga Technical Institute and look at the bigger picture. This is not the only violent incident the region has experienced in recent times. Talk to us about the trend we're seeing.
It's an unfortunate trend, if I may say, because between July and August, there have been 3 recorded incidents at, various senior high schools within the Upper East region. Let's start off with Zuarungu Senior High School, which happened on the 21st of July, where we understood that 2 student groups, clashed violently simply because a mobile phone gadget had gone missing. And so that sort of, triggered tensions because each of the group was so infuriated by the fact that the mobile phone had gotten missing. It escalated into full-blown violence and a big brawl that almost, led to a lot of, injuries on the part of the students. But luckily, as usual, state security agencies, especially the police and the military, who are always on standby, were able to quickly rush there, and the situation was brought under control. Then on the just a week later, on 27th, we woke up to the unfortunate incident where a student was gunned down by unknown assailants on the campus of the Boku Senior High School. Investigations have not come out yet, but all preliminary gatherings as far as intelligence is concerned from the police and the military points to the fact that that incident was related to the Boku conflict. But we understand that later on, all things have been brought under control. And just last week or so, I was there and I reported that the third year students actually had returned to the school. And as I speak now, they are preparing to write their WASI exam. And then yesterday's incident adds to the 3 incidents I am talking about, and that is at the Bolgatanga Technical Institute, where we understand that the students were not happy because their colleagues had been suspended for misconducting themselves. They've been asked to go home, and so a section of the students who are still on campus felt that it was too harsh, and they took matters into their own hands.
Fast forward our conversation, because I have very little time to spend with Dr. Peter Patti Anti, who is Executive Secretary for the Institute for Education Studies. Doc, here we are again, another senior high school campus, so to speak. It's at the second cycle level, and we're seeing this level of violence there. As an industry person, what are we not getting right?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. I think that we are not doing well with the profiling of these incidents. I think that it is time the Ghana Education Service sits up and do a proper profiling of these incidents, because if you look at it, you see that some of them seem to be student agitations that ends up being very disastrous, like the one we are discussing now. Mm-hmm. Now it means that when you are planning for these things, you will need to develop or design remediations that will fit into instances such as this one. A student does something which is not good, the school takes decision as to punish the student, and then other students comes in and then they engage in such an illegal activity. What can the authorities do? It means that we need to design a lot more processes in terms of communicating with students, interacting with students, trying to let them understand the rationale for certain decisions that school administrators would be taking, and also using some of these same students as scapegoats. So I think that we are not doing well with profiling.
Right.
Some of the incidents demand that, we are very brutal and forceful with our approach, and some of them we can't engage the other stakeholders like the PTAs and other things. So I believe that we need to sit down, look at the incidents that are happening across the country, do a proper profiling, and then design measures that would enable us tackle the issues as they come up, and then in other way prevent them from even happening.
Very well, Doc. Speaking of measures, we know that the Education Minister, Harry Idrisi, has said, look, we will review security arrangements in some of these schools. In reviewing that arrangement, obviously it will be a helpful thing to do, but what are the key things that should be reviewed or included in that review of school security?
So one of the things that we need to do is to use the house masters as information agents to the school administration. Ideally, house masters are supposed to pick information about these things from the dormitories and student gatherings so that they will be able to act on it. I think that if house masters are trained well in terms of intelligence gathering, it is going to help a lot because they can use students to be informants among their colleagues who will give them information as to plans that are being undertaken to cause havoc on campus. And I think that would be a very good measure. Again, I think that we also need to train in terms of the training, we need to train school administrators as to how they carry on with some of these disciplinary measures, because if you have punished students and the students are not happy with it, how should I go around it? These are things that I think our security experts and people in negotiations and alternative dispute resolutions can help in training school authorities in dealing with, because most of these instances boils down to communication, and I think that when the communication is gotten right, we'll be able to deal with some of these things. The other ones will be random search on campus, ensuring that the schools are manned by well-trained security officials and not just anybody who is appointed as a security or gatesman. We need to train the security people who are manning the gates of our various secondary schools and technical institutes.
Absolutely, Doc. There's so much to talk about and very little time. Perhaps we'll pick this again at another time. But one thing is clear, Doc, that we should act and act now. I appreciate your time with us. Dr. Peter Patti Anti is with the Institute for Education, and we've been talking about the violence in school. Earlier was
Odofo when e breaking news abeto dwa efi Bolgatanga na medine nyina bro e wo Ghanatube. Odofo ne nti a eye senior high school for we omani abre a chese omai gidigidi e wo campus no yesi school no e suspending kofo bako 6 e wo Bolgatanga Technical Institute. Bolgatanga Technical Institute school no suspending kofo bako 6 because omanye omniama yi bad conduct mo amunim say act of indiscipline. Just say omanye ni manema bi ensem fata omu behavior ne omunema bi o ekoso o campus no ana omu suban bi omu dan di o campus ne nkoyi enti no mpenifo suspended students bako 6 na students bako 6 na omu suspend omu no students no mo school no omu se dabi na omunye boni bia nkofo 6 na omunye boni bia na si den na school to be suspended san nkofo 6 nti omu so omu omu nti ase de nti omu suspended student bako 6 na omunye boni bia enti no chese why boni menye boni why boni menye boni yese school ne simpanyfo se why boni na students do mo school ni so omunye boni bia enti no na students se da bi omu mpene se ya suspend nkofo 6 omanga so mo die 6 nti omu mpene na chese menteme ho ase yeni na akoso dendende a yese senior house master ni bebi a ote yakohye ho nyina ne cars ahodo a yesese no na student so ye prepare bebi orofo when e breaking news abeto dwam so bedi nyina ebro ewo Bolgatanga efi Bolgatanga Bolgatanga Technical Institute si ameno kasa no student bako 6 o me pra dendende o mo condition no very critical omoda hospital I see amena okasa e wo Ghanatube fo when e breaking news abeto dwam so bidi nyina bro e wo Ghanatube fo odofo mamre fi sembe like na ma subscribe na ma share na ma hit notification bell so ma se ne be ya abrini abibia do pe content say ya wo onya na tempa no ahwe nche madofo aha ana mede nsem nyina bisi e wo Ghanatube so makra mu nyina meda mu nyina ase